Hello everyone. For today's video, we are going to talk about fingerprint. So let's define what is the meaning of fingerprint. Fingerprint is an impression or mark made on the surface by a person's fingerprint. It is related to the um, criminology because as a future law enforcement, we're going to find the identification of criminals. So that being said, every person has a unique fingerprint. So we can identify who is the person based on their fingerprint. So the fingerprint has been related to Sir Edward Richard Henry. Sir Edward Richard Henry proposed the championship for the method of fingerprinting. So we're going to talk about the polygraph. So Leonard Keeler and John Larson was responsible for creating and using the modern version of polygraph in the 1930s. So, what do you mean by a polygraph? So, in the 1930s, the Keeler and Larson's research led to the creation of what is now known as the modern polygraph machine, which monitors variations in the subject's blood pressure, pulse, breathing, and sweat as they answered a series of questions. A four-line graph is then generated by the machine and its variations are examined. So we're going to talk about ballistic. So ballistic is about the features of the gun. So we're going to talk when was the birth of ballistic. So the birth of the ballistic was on February 14, 1929. So the story about the creation of ballistic was there was a member of a gang who were shot down by unidentified murderers. So two of the unidentified murderers were wearing a uniform of a police officer. So therefore, um, people think that the murderers were policemen. So this is led to the investigation of Colonel Calvin Goddard. He wants to prove that the bullets fired from the murderer's weapon was not from a police, and the murderers are not a police. So he obtained a samples of the fired bullets from several Thompson submachine gun owned by the Chicago Police Department. And after that, he compared it to the slugs in the victim's body that is found in the victim's body, and he compared it, and there he states that the slugs from the murderers and in the inside of the body of the victims and the slugs from the Thompson submachine gun of the police are different. Therefore, the murderers are just wearing police uniform and they are not a real policeman. And that is the story about ballistic.
So let me discuss the three topics under the forensic science, which are spectrophotometry, spectroscopy, and toxicology. Spectroscopy is used in physical and analytical chemistry to detect, determine, or quantify the molecular and structural composition of a sample. Each type of molecule and atom will reflect, absorb, or emit electromagnetic radiation in its own characteristic way. Forensic scientists can use spectroscopy methods to reveal the chemical makeup of blood samples and other bodily fluids. Electromagnetic radiation, usually from precisely calibrated lasers, that is applied to the fluid samples. Spectrophotometry is a process of scientifically and objectively measuring color and radio wavelengths. Through forensic spectrophotometry, analysis can intensely study the crime scene's evidence using the power of electromagnetic imaging. Forensic examiners can distinguish between the chemical composition, materials, and even brand of a piece of evidence, all by the examining how the samples reflects wavelengths. Spectrophotometry is a prepared method of forensic analysis due to its non-destructive analytical abilities. Forensic toxicology is the analysis of biological samples for the presence of toxins, including drugs. The toxicology report can provide key information as to the type of substance present in individual and if the amount of those substance is consistent with high level of dosage or above a harmful level. The forensic toxicology involves the use of appropriate chemical or analytical techniques to identify and characterize any unknown substance in biological system and also examine the adverse effects of this substance on human. Forensic toxicology plays a vital role in criminal proceeding that may affect a person's performance or behavior and ability to make rational judgment.
Before diving into the details of DNA profiling, it's important to understand what DNA is. Each person has unique DNA, as an acronym stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. It was not until 20 years ago that Sir Alec Jeffreys, professor and geneticist at University of Leicester in United Kingdom, was discovered a DNA profiling. Modern techniques like DNA profiling can be used to identify people based on their distinctive genetic makeup. People may have comparable facial features and even the same eye and hair color, but they will not have the same DNA. This indicates that the method will help in more thoroughly solving crimes. DNA obtained from suspect and DNA found at a crime scene from blood or hair, for example, can be conferred by forensic specialists. They might be able to rule out that suspect if there is no match. Police will certainly want to investigate more closely if there is a match. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI, used spectrographic or voice identification on analysis as early as 1950s, but the unit did not gain a specific acceptance until 1962 stand by Lawrence Curta, a researcher working with a 1940s model Bell Laboratory sound spectrograph. Consider that we are a police officer logging into a crime where a threatening phone call has been made, although there may not be any physical proof, such as DNA or fingerprints, that person was recorded. To determine how likely it is the two voices are coming from the same person, expert can examine the voice recording and compare it to the voice unknown of suspect. The term for this technique is forensic voice comparison. It works because the voices of people reveal a lot about them. Your voice is influenced by your unique biological makeup, as well as the environment in which you raise and though to speak. In this paper, we describe how this data utilized to compare voice recording in criminal cases. John Dogman invented iris recognition biometric algorithm for identifying person rapidly using the random texture visible in the iris of an eye. A biometric technique called iris recognition technology uses an image of an eye pattern to create binary template, which is then saved on a survey for later matching. Iris cameras are used to identify people by studying distinctive random patterns that are visible within the eye clearly from a particular distance.
Lie detector. Lie detector, also known as polygraph testing, involved in the intersection of science and technology, relies on the scientific understanding of psychological responses associated with the deception, while technology enables the measurement and analysis of these responses. Here's how science and technology are connected in the context of lie detector. Who invented lie detector? First, Dr. William Moulton, an American psychologist and inventor, is often credited with inventing the first polygraph instrument in the early 20th century. Second, John Larson, American police and psychologist. They advanced the lie detector technology in 1920s. Third, Dr. Leonard Keeler, an American psychologist and polygraph expert, played a significant role in the refining and popularization the lie detector. In the science and technology, enabled the integration of psychological responses and another relevant information for a comprehensive analysis. Modern lie detector system often incorporate multiple channel of data such as audio and video recording, eye tracking technology, and cognitive assessment to enhance the accuracy and reliability of the result. In fingerprint powder, science and technology play a crucial role in the development and application of fingerprint powder. Fingerprint powder are used in the forensic science to enhance and visualize late fingerprints which are otherwise invisible to the naked eye. Who invented fingerprints powder? First, Sir Edward Henry, an English police office official, is credited with the development of the Henry system of fingerprint classification, which revolutionized the use of fingerprint in criminal investigation. Second, Francis Galton, an English scientist and cousin of Charles Darwin, made significant contribution of the study of fingerprints in the late 19th century. Third, Dr. Juan Vucetich, an police official and pioneer in the forensic science in the late 20th century, and he developed a method to visualize and preserve latent fingerprints using a powder composed of black lead. When the understanding of science, fingerprint powder is formation and the composition of the residue left behind is the foundation of our fingerprint powder development. It is extensive research has been conducted to understand the anatomy of fingerprint and the chemical component presented in sweat and the interaction between powder and fingerprint. And in the technological advancement, technology has greatly contributed to the development of fingerprint powder application techniques. For instance, the use of electrostatic or magnetic brushes to apply powders enable more control and uniform distribution. Specialized fingerprint powder applicators and brushes have been designed to enhance the accuracy and efficiency of the powdering process. In comparison microscope, a comparison microscope is an optical instrument that allows for viewing of two separate specimens or objects side by side, typically through a split view eyepiece. It is commonly used in forensic science that related in criminology and other fields. Who invented comparison microscope? The comparison microscope was invented by a forensic science named Calvin Goddard in the early 20th century. Dr. Goddard developed this innovative microscope in the 1920s. While working at the Bureau of Forensic Ballistics in the United States, his invention revolutionized the field of forensic science, particularly in the area of firearms examinations and tool mark analysis. They have an objective observation in criminology that science aims for objectivity and evidence based on conclusion. The comparison microscope is a specialized tool officer a standardized and controlled settings for examining specimens. It enables scientists to observe two samples, ensuring equal magnification and lightening condition. By doing so, the comparison microscope promotes reliable and unbiased observation, minimizing the risk of subjective interpretations. This capability proves essential across multiple scientific fields such as biology, geology, material science, and forensics.
Surveillance camera, or CCTV. Cotton trivia from the CCTV. The first surveillance camera was developed by the Russian scientist named Leon Dermin, using a video camera connected to television. It was used to watch visitors coming to the Kremlin in Moscow and was invented by Walter Brush in 1942 in Germany. To capture live video footage, CCTV nowadays are very essential when it comes to anything, lalo na sa mga crime scenes na hindi mabigyan ng hustisya. Karaniwan, nagamit ito to prevent crimes and also to implement safety and protocols to everyone. Everywhere makikita na lang ang CCTV in every corner para makita ng mga ganap sa roads and also any establishment and also sa bahay. Tracking device. The inventors of tracking device is Roger Lee Easton Sr., an American physicist and state representative who was the principal inventor and designer of the global positioning system, along with Ivan A. Getting and Bradford Parkinson. And makakatulong ito sa mga kapulisan sa pagtatrack ng isang vehicle kapag inilagay ito sa kahit anong part ng vehicle. Ito isang type ng tracking device na gamit para sa distinguish and location ng isang tao. Biometric. Biometric are body measurement and calculation related to human characteristics. Biometric authentication is used in computer science as a form of identification and access to control. It's also used to identify individuals in groups that are under surveillance, at ito ay makakatulong sa mga kapulisan na maka-identify ng tao gamit lang ang fingerprint.